This is TWiT.
This is the new Xbox One X. I have the Project Scorpio edition because I did in fact order it, but I ordered from Microsoft. I just forgot. Should somebody who doesn't have a 4K UHD display with HDR even consider this?
Yes, actually, Digital Foundry. Remember, these are the guys who got wind of, or got actually insider access from Microsoft to the Xbox One X early, have posted a really good video demonstrating the differences that this thing makes on just a 1080p display. Like it's fairly astonishing, like the graphics quality.
Really, the quality is better.
You get.
Oh,
yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah. And so, you know, you obviously get a bump up as you go up, right? You know, there's the resolution of the display from 1080p to 4K. There's the addition of HDR capabilities, which you could have on 1080p. By the way, sometime in the near future, they'll actually support 1440p. Like I have my desktop display here is, I think it's 2160 by 1440, which is not natively supported right now, but will be. And then, of course, the combination of those things, like 4K UHD plus HDR, is amazing. But there's also like a scale. I don't know how to describe this exactly. Microsoft has good terminology for this, but there's a scalability factor that goes up and down depending on the game, whether it's been enhanced or not, specifically for Xbox One X, and then the display. And so if you have a game that has 4K assets on an Xbox One X running on a 1080p display, they'll actually super sample it, which I think of as kind of like down resing it, if you will. And it will still look way better on that console than if you had an Xbox One or Xbox One S. Likewise, you can take a game that hasn't been improved in any way explicitly by the developer for the Xbox One X, play it on that console on a 4K display. It's going to load faster, not dramatically in my experience, but still a bit faster. And it's going to look better as well. Just by virtue of the hardware that's in the device, it's just going to do a better job of scaling it up. So you get the benefits across the board, like whatever combination of games and display, I guess would be the way to put it, as long as you're running it on Xbox One X. It's really kind of exciting. It's cool. I mean, it's kind of amazing.
If you bought a 1S, last year's refresh, still?
Yeah, you're screwed. You should never have done that.
It was a big mistake.
That was the dumbest thing.
Of course I did, yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I have one too. No, by the way, that's the other thing. So the Xbox One S is awesome. The truth is it's awesome. And it's a really good deal. And for people who can't afford $500 for a console, which is basically almost everybody, you can get for $250 or less an Xbox One S with games.
Okay.
And it does HDR, it does 4K, not in games, but in entertainment. Right. And honestly, it's a really good entertainment console as well. You should never buy it for that purpose, not when you can get a $50 Fire TV or whatever. But if you already have it for games, it's in your living room, you know, it's an astonishingly good media box as well. Okay.
Well, I'll tell you what, let me take a break and tease people.
I was going to say, Mary Jo, you might want to get your gong out because honestly,
this is gonna be a little
I am going to get to the point where I can't stop talking about it because it's so
that good.
Awesome.
What have you, so you've had it for, you got a review unit.
Some amount of time. And
can you say how long?
No, I don't know. No, I've only had it for a few weeks, but.
Okay, that's long enough. That's pretty good.
Well, but here's the difference though between even like today and say a week ago or 2 weeks ago, is the availability of Xbox One enhanced assets, right? And a lot of the stuff we had earlier before the launch wasn't enhanced. It still looked great and it ran really fast. But the day of the launch, you could actually see it. If you went into My Games and Apps and filtered the view just to enhanced apps, and in my case, maybe I had 6 or something. And then I came back 2 hours later and it was like 9. And then I came back 2 hours later and it was like 12. Like you can actually watch it go up. And I don't remember the exact numbers off the top of my head, but I want to say it was something like 50 or 70 on launch day, and then maybe another 70 by the end of the year or something. They have huge plans to release over time more and more titles that are enhanced for this new console.
And what you'll get is 4K assets, textures, graphics, that kind of thing, or the game? I mean,
yeah, it's not uniform, right? So the phrase Xbox One enhanced, which is kind of a marketing term, doesn't literally mean you get this. It means you could get some of those things. Yeah. And so sometimes a developer might say, look, you know, depending on the type of game, what might make more sense is we're not going to hit 4K resolution, but we're going to hit a solid 1080p or 1440p or whatever it is at 60 frames a second instead. or we're going to mix and match depending on the game type or the part in the game, or maybe a multiplayer game will go lower res but higher frame rate, but on the single player will go lower frame rate, higher res. See if I'm getting that right. They can choose. A developer can to any degree add those things as they want, and that's okay. Yeah, I think that makes sense.
So there really are two things going on here. One is higher screen resolution in the games, but also because of the faster processor, you might opt not to do higher res textures, but faster frame rates, or a little bit of each. And each game is different in that regard.
Each game is different. Forza 7, for example, is 60 frames a second and 4K graphics, so it's full meal.
So it's capable of that.
Yep.
So it's not like you have to make the trade-off. That's interesting.
Yeah. Gears of War 4 actually gives you the option. So you can, in the single-player campaign, you can go in and say, look, I want it to be 60 frames a second for the whole game. And no problem. Sometimes the res is going to drop down a little bit because there's a lot of stuff going on the screen. Or you can say, no, I want the quality graphics. So it's going to be 4K the whole game, but it's going to be 30 frames a second, which is what it is on the Xbox One S.
Okay.
Yeah, it's up to the developer.
And that, I read Ars Technica went back through all of the different games and kind of spoke to that. Like, oh, well, here's what they optimized for in this game. Here's what, and some of them it didn't sound like were, at least according to their reviewer, were well done, or as well done, or as exciting. So,
well, see, this is the thing. I don't know when they wrote that, but the issue was, if you published on day one, you really didn't have a lot of good examples of this. If you were to publish that review today, you would have about 5 times as many examples. So I'm actually waiting. I'll probably do it over the weekend, but I specifically waited on I did a first impressions thing, but for the review, what I wanted to be able to do is, because I have the two consoles, is compare them side by side. And I want to look at, it's hard to do this formally on an Xbox, but something like game load times. So there are games like Forza 7 that are actually pretty slow. Like if you ever play this game and you want to go to the next race, you sit there for like a minute. I mean, it's kind of a long load time. I don't actually see dramatic performance improvements in that kind of thing, but I want to be able to quantify it somehow. So it's going to be like me with a stopwatch. It's not going to be super accurate, but I'll be looking at that kind of thing too.
Sam wrote this at launch day. Sam Mashkovich.
Yeah. So
there's stuff has happened since.
Oh yeah, yeah. If
it's only a day later.
Read this review, went to the store, bought the thing, brought it home, set it up, it already would have gotten way better.
He loved Madden 18. Have you played that one?
Yeah. No, I do have it. I haven't played it yet.
Yeah. So okay. Yeah. See, I'm not. So that's part of the problem is I don't like driving games or football games. I want to.
I never liked driving games either. My wife has actually now on multiple occasions complained because of Forza, because one of her big pet peeves is like movies that have chase scenes.
Yeah, me too.
She thinks these go on for far too long. So I've made her watch like Ronin like 8 times, and she can't stand this movie.
Murderer.
But she's walked into my office and said, seriously, like all I can hear is, it's like this never-ending, race. But the thing is, it's so beautiful.
That's the thing. It's not the game. You're just enjoying the drive.
There are the night races where it's raining and you get those effects. There are the races where it happens at dusk and the sun actually comes up over the course of the race.
Oh my!
And it's dynamic lighting with fog and everything. And there's just something.
You feel like you're actually driving. And that's what always puzzled me about these games, because I drive. I don't, I could see if you're 14 and you don't have a driver's license, then it's a game. For me, it's just a chore. Yeah. I already drive plenty. I don't want to drive anymore. But
they should do the Pennsylvania Forza where like game ends when you hit a deer.
Yeah, exactly. But you're saying it's so gorgeous, it's worth it.
There are no lights on at night, and you might hit a deer.
Yeah. Yeah, see, why would you want... I don't get the game part of that. But you're saying it's worth it. It's exciting. It's gorgeous.
I've always agreed. What you just said is what I've always said.
Yeah, I'm a grown-up. I understand it.
But you got to try this.
Okay, all right. I got another one to buy.
It really is nice.
Okay. All right, well, let's take a break. We have this thing in its original state. It's in its container, unopened. I truthfully don't think there's much point in hooking it up and playing a game, because everybody who, first of all, most of our audience is listening, so they're really not going to enjoy it. And
the other problem is, unless
it's a 720p stream,
even if you had it on disc, I mean, it's going to take forever to get that thing going.
Oh yeah, well we could yeah, okay, because there's I have to download updates probably.
Unless you have that, unless you did the hard drive thing and happen to have that handy.
I forgot to bring it here.
Yeah,
but is it one of those situations where you have to do updates before you can do anything anyway?
Oh yeah,
oh yeah.
I mean, look, every digital device you buy, has to be updated.
You hope it's
the
updated.
Second you buy it.
Yeah.
Let's seriously, everyone would agree, is the most annoying. You want to get going. And it's like, just a few minutes, we got a little update to install. And it's like 17 gigabytes, really? No, it's not.